Hi, my name is Rose Timmons Dawson, and I've had the pleasure of serving as the Alexandria Library's director since 2008. You know, 2014, we're talking 12 years ago, the library formally celebrated the 75th anniversary of the 1939 library sit-in. This was when we acknowledged and we apologized for the fact that we arrested 5 young African American men in 1939 simply because they wanted to use our services. Now, it's important to keep that in mind simply because in 2016, we had an awful lot of stuff going on within the country. And the Alexandria Library Board signed on to a racial equity statement that the Urban Libraries Council drafted. We acknowledged that we were going to take a part with other libraries in offering programs and services that gave the community an opportunity to try and have conversations and discussions pertaining to the challenges of racial equity in our country. I think one of the things that I'm most proud of that comes to mind is in 2018, the American Library Association offered an opportunity for library systems to apply for a racial healing and transformation grant. Alexandria Library was one of 30 that were awarded that grant. And what made us stand out even more was the fact that our grant was spent on having conversations and working with incarcerated young men who grew up on the margins. So we were the only library system that was working with 18 to 21-year-olds who were incarcerated. We started this book club. We partnered with the sheriff's office, and we did 8 weeks of discussing books, tying in music and poetry and those things that they could relate to that tied into the experiences in their lives. I have to say that after doing that, it was so popular that the library then did a second program with the Juvenile Detention Center where the police department was concerned. We here in Alexandria are very proud of our history. But we want to celebrate all of our history. So in addition to recognizing Robert E. Lee, in addition to recognizing George Washington, we need to recognize that there is a diversity that sits here in our community, and we want to offer programs and everything to celebrate that as well. And so when it comes to the National Day of Racial Healing, the library has always been on board. So one of the things that the library has done, in addition to the library sit-in programs, which were well received by the community, was that we then reached out to the descendants of those individuals who had participated. And through those people, we had a chance to talk with other Alexandrians, African Americans, who ended up being the first in what they had done, sharing their stories of how they experienced certain things within our city that they grew from those occurrences and just wanted the young people to recognize that these things may be happening to them, but they have always happened, and we need to come together as a community to try and understand why are certain things still happening here in Alexandria, and what is it we as a community can do to make change. 3 years ago, the library had the opportunity to roll out the Black Family Reunion. And this event came about simply because when it came to looking at the history of Alexandria, we had big gaps within our collection when it came to the contributions of African Americans. And so we asked the community, we asked the African American community more specifically, to help us fill that hole. Once again, what we had failed to do was collect the information and collect the wonderful stories that help build this city. And I'm happy to report that as we have had the opportunity to celebrate it for 3 years now, we're on our fourth celebration. It has become one of the most popular events with all Alexandrians because the neighborhoods that were once only African American neighborhoods that lacked any sort of diversity. It was simply all Black, or certain neighborhoods were all white. And as we have started as a community to blend our community and our neighborhoods, then we have been joined by Black, white, Hispanic, Asian, anyone who lives within Alexandria is taking part in recognizing that it took a community, the entire community, to build Alexandria to the wonderful place that it is. And we need to make sure that all of the information pertaining to them is captured and available for years to come. The library has partnered with a number of other agencies in which we all recognize the need to have discussions, to have conversations about those things that occurred, the racial differences that have taken place historically and, frankly, that continue to take place. And so you have the housing department who talks about redlining, and the library has worked with them. We've had the opportunity to work with the city, our city council, put together an equity task force so that they created an inclusive statement and an equity statement. And the library, like the Office of Historic Alexandria, Department of Parks and Recreation, Human Rights, Department of Community and Human Services, and our public safety departments, we all came together to discuss what it is that as we work to build a better Alexandria and the services we offer, how we need to interact and the individuals that we need to talk with to make sure that their voices are heard and the services that we provide are offered in a manner in which they feel comfortable and welcome where our city is concerned. So when it comes to the programs that the library has offered, one of my favorite sayings is that the library is the best partner in the city of Alexandria. We are the best department for anyone, nonprofits, other city agencies to work with. And that has been proven when it comes to things such as working with the other departments, such as with our Black Family Reunion. We allowed the nonprofit organizations within the city, based on the services they're offering, to come in and make their services, make the community aware of what it is they're offering. So we allowed them to table, and the community could come out and talk to them about the different types of services they could receive. We had public safety reads in which we had our police chief reading to the youth of the city. We're talking story time so that they can understand that there's no need to be fearful of the police or the sheriff or anyone wearing a uniform, that these people are here to keep them safe. Once again, as we work with departments such as the Office of Historic Alexandria, and they're capturing all of the city's history as well, then we're both collecting the oral histories. They're doing them in a traditional way, and the library has reached out to the community and conducted many oral histories in which we ask the community to just come, sit down, talk to us, and just share with us one fond memory you have of growing up here in Alexandria. And from those many oral histories, we hear the memories they have of what it was like to live in their neighborhoods, the Burg, the Seminary, Haytide, the fact that those places may have not have had plumbing. Those places had dirt roads, but they had a sense of community. And now, based on what those communities look like, that they're able to share with the new residents what those communities looked like 20 years ago, and the experiences, regardless of what we may think, because they may have lacked certain amenities, the overall sense from those who have shared those oral histories is that they were communities that in which they felt loved and honored and respected. So last year, I had the pleasure, first of all, I was so honored that my staff took the time to write me up for the Black Caucus of the American Library Association's Trailblazer Award. This is an award that's not given out every year. It tends to be given out every 5 years. And if they feel there's no one worthy, they won't give it out at that time. I was the recipient of that award because the Black Caucus of the American Library Association recognized that the work that we're doing here in Alexandria that taps into the racial equity, and as we try to have the conversations and offer the programs and services so that everyone feels comfortable, they recognize how important that work is, and the fact that a number of communities haven't embarked on that path as of yet. So we are very proud here at the Alexandria Library, and we're trying to model programs, services, and behavior where those types of things can be duplicated by other library systems. So, as we look to celebrate the National Day of Racial Healing, Alexandria Library recognizes how important that is, and the work that we're doing is indeed important, and we don't intend to stop. The activities, the programs, and the services, and the staff that we hire will represent all of the people who live and work and play in Alexandria, and we're looking to do this in many more years to come.